I secretly bought a haunted house, then caught my mom giving creepy tours at 3 a.m. The house stood ominously at the end of a desolate road, cloaked in shadows, as if waiting for the unwary. Its cracked paint whispered secrets, its windows glowed like dark eyes in the moonlight. Everyone said it was haunted, but I had never believed it until now. I was desperate. Tackling debt, I impulsively bought the old Victorian, thinking I could flip it. But as soon as I walked through the creaking front door, a chill sizzled down my spine. The air felt heavy, electric, like I was stepping into a realm where time had lost all meaning. The first unusual thing I noticed? The faded photographs lining the walls. Their eyes seemed to follow my every move, piercing me with stares that felt far too knowing. I shook it off, dismissing it as my imagination until the shadows danced in eerie shapes, twisting and turning when my back was turned. Even the air smelled strange, like rotting wood mixed with something floral, almost like an overripe garden that had been abandoned for years. And the ticking clock in the hallway? It never showed the right time. Just froze at 3:07 a.m. Then it happened. Late one night, blissfully exhausted, I heard hushed giggles emanating from the basement. I instinctively froze, my heart thumping like a jackhammer against my chest. Who else could be in this house? I tiptoed down the creaking stairs, breathing shallow, the darkness wrapping around me like a suffocating blanket. Peering through the crack in the door, I couldn't believe my eyes. My mom, my own mother, stood there, illuminated by nothing but a flickering candle, leading a group of people through the shadows as though she was giving a tour. Her voice, soft and sultry, dripped with an excitement I had never heard before. "Can you feel the energy?" she murmured, her face half illuminated, eyes wide. "This house has secrets. Come closer." I was paralyzed. My chest tightened, the lump in my throat growing as dread washed over me. What the hell was going on? Had my mom lost her mind? Or was this house messing with her too? I wanted to storm in and demand answers, but the way she gestured to the crowd, the intensity of the moment, held me back. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. My breaths came quick as I watched her smile grow wider, coaxing her audience closer. I felt a wave of panic surge through me, mixed with an urge to protect her from whatever dark magic this place held. What secrets did she know that I didn't? I needed to unravel this mystery, to face whatever had taken hold of my mom, but I had no idea how deep this rabbit hole went. And in that moment, as I stood there in the darkness, a sudden whisper grazed my ear, a voice that wasn't mine, begging me to step closer, to join the strange gathering. Would I dare? What awaited me in the shadows? Every nerve in my body screamed for me to pull back, yet the darkness seemed to beckon, wrapping its fingers around me. What was happening to my mom? Had she found something in this house that was pulling her in, trapping her within its clutches? Come closer. The voice urged again, but this time I didn't realize it was emanating from me. The candlelight flickered and danced, illuminating the faces of those captivated by my mother's eerie charm. Fear gripped my heart, but something else tugged at my curiosity. I took a shaky step forward, just enough to break the threshold of the door. "Mom!" I gasped, the sound wrenched from my throat like a physical force. She turned, surprise etched on her features, and for a brief moment, I saw vulnerability beneath the glittering excitement. "Sweetheart, you have to see this," she said animatedly, as if the walls held magic only she could perceive. The group sighed softly, their expressions a blend of intrigue and thrill, each one drawn deeper into my mother's spell. Who were these people? Why were they here? And more importantly, why didn't I leave with them, turning my back on whatever madness this place evoked? "What did you find?" I stammered, my voice small against the thick atmosphere. "There's a story buried here," she replied, her tone soothing yet unsettling. "Every creak of the floorboards tells a tale. Every shadow holds a secret. Join us, don't you want to know what they are?" My breath caught. There was something wild in her eyes, as if she were already half dreaming, half dancing with the spirits contained within these walls. I noticed the flicker of candlelight illuminating a woman behind her, wearing a vintage dress pale as moonlight, one that didn't quite seem to cast a shadow. It sent chills down my spine. Suddenly, the floor beneath me creaked, an echo of something more profound, more sinister. I missed a step, staggering as the air grew heavier, weighing my limbs down. The house felt alive, each sensation magnified, pulling me further into the dark allure of the basement. "Let them come," my mother urged, gesturing towards me and the crowd. "They want to reveal themselves to us." Revealing what? I stared at her, terror mixing with disbelief. Was she truly willing to welcome whatever lurked in the shadows? My heart thumped as I fought the idea that we were invoking something beyond our grasp. I clutched the frame of the door tightly, my pulse racing. "No, Mom, please let us just leave. This isn't right," I yelled, uncertainty twisting through me. But her expression hardened. "Why are you resisting, my love?" Her voice turned smooth, almost melodic, capable of enchanting anyone who heard it. "Don't you want to know what they want to tell us?" At that moment, a loud thump echoed from a distant corner of the basement. My spine tingled. The room stilled, and all eyes snapped to the source of the sound. Murmurs of fear rippled through the group, and I felt the temperature drop as if an icy wind bled into the air. "Let us go see," she insisted, her glow captivating, and without thinking the group stepped forward. Lured by her voice, I felt the chaos erupt inside me, anxiety sinking deep into my gut. I couldn't let them go, couldn't let my mother be swept away by whatever force was binding her. I took a deep breath, determination sharply igniting within me. "Stop!" I shouted, mustering every ounce of courage. "This isn't just a house. It's a trap." The candle flickered wildly, shadows distorting like twisted reflections. I pushed forward, desperate to pull her back before it was too late. But, as my fingers reached out, my mother glanced at me, her expression shifting from sweetness to something darker. "Then you really shouldn't have come down here." Before I could react, her voice echoed, melding into the whispers swirling around the room. The group turned as one, their faces reflecting an unsettling alignment with the shadows. I could feel the oppressive weight closing in around me, the walls pulsing with ominous energy. What had I just unleashed? What lay waiting in the abyss ahead? As I took a hesitant step back, the darkness thickened, ready to swallow me whole. It felt like the house had a heartbeat, a throbbing warning that set the tension to an unbearable level. And then, just as the candlelight dimmed, a piercing scream erupted from within. What had I walked into? Would I be able to pull my mom back from this darkness, or had we both already crossed the line? The scream shattered the thick silence, an echo of terror bouncing off the walls, sending shivers racing through my spine. My eyes shot to my mother, but she remained transfixed. Her smile stretched unnaturally as the shadows wrapped tighter around her. The group, still caught in her spell, edged closer to the source of the sound, curiosity gleaming in their eyes, oblivious to the danger. "Mom, please," I pleaded, my voice cracking. I felt a sense of desperation clawing at my throat. I took another step forward, heart hammering. If the unusual energy around us was an invitation, I was determined to refuse. "We have to leave. Now." But my words fell on deaf ears, lost among their murmurs filled with excitement and dread. Desperation clawed at me as I watched them ignore my urgency, their faces shifting with fascination. It was as if they were all under a spell, engulfed in a trance that left me standing alone in fear. Then, from the depths of the basement, the scream transformed, morphing into a chorus of anguished wails. They blended together, sounding like a haunting choir dragged from another realm. The hair on my arm stood straight up, and I felt a chill wash over me. The heavy air pressed down like a vice, suffocating, daring me to retreat or move forward. "Stay close," a woman in the group whispered, her eyes wide, glimmering with a hint of madness. "It's calling us." My mind raced as I struggled to comprehend what they were feeling. What was so alluring about this darkness? Was I the only one aware of the malignant energy swirling around us? I glanced at my mother again, searching for a glimmer of recognition, but she only seemed more entranced. "Mom!" I shouted, my voice rising above the cacophony. But she didn't respond. Her gaze was now fixed on the shadows that danced along the basement walls, and a look of triumph spread across her face. Whatever she saw was drawing her in deeper, but what about me? What about the memories of her laughter and warmth? Suddenly, an icy wind whipped through the basement, snuffing out the remaining candle flames, plunging us into darkness. Gasps echoed as panic surged through the group, disoriented by the sudden change. "Back!" I shouted, but as I reached out to seize my mother, I was met by an unseen force, a wall that pressed against me from behind. "Join us!" A whisper slithered through the air, a voice that seemed to coil around my mind, wrapping it in cold fingers. I felt it tugging, urging me forward to let go. My heart raced, struggling against the compulsion to give in. "Don't!" I screamed, shaking my head furiously. It felt like the shadows were testing me, trying to pull me into the abyss that had ensnared my mom. The basement walls throbbed, pulsating in rhythm with the accumulating energy as I fought against my own mind and the swirling dark. I could barely breathe, each gasp suffocated by an invisible weight pressing down on me. The air shifted again, thick and suffocating, and from within the darkness, a shape began to manifest. I squinted, heart thudding in my chest, a figure slowly rising from the depths, pale, elongated and unsettling. I took a step back, trying to keep my feet grounded, yet my heartbeat echoed louder. "Leave her alone!" I shouted as the figure loomed larger, more defined, casting an unnatural chill that seemed to snuff out even the deepest fears I had known. And just as quickly, it spoke, its voice a sibilant whisper that felt like ice scraping down my spine. "Let her be one of us." My mind reeled, horrified as the realization struck my mother was not alone anymore. Could I save her from this nightmare before she became part of the darkness forever? The shadows felt alive, hungry. As panic surged through me, I was left with only one question. Would I be able to pull her back from this unholy grip, or was I too late? I was desperate. The basement was consumed by darkness, and that figure loomed dangerously close, a grotesque parody of humanity drenched in shadow. My instincts screamed at me to flee, but what about my mother? I took another step back, still locked in a struggle between fear and resolve. The chilling air thickened, curdling my stomach with dread. "Mom!" I cried again, my voice breaking against the tension, desperate for a response, for something that would bring her back to me. The crowd shifted, still mesmerized, their whispers blending into a symphony of chaos that echoed in my head. The pale figure stretched its arm toward my mother, the shadows swirling at its fingertips like tendrils reaching for her soul. I felt the ground beneath me tremble, urging me to run, but I was stuck. I couldn't abandon my mom. "Leave her alone!" I shouted, rallying against the overpowering energy that sought to engulf me. But my words were merely static in the tempest of voices. Then something broke through the thick haze. My mother blinked, her smile faltering. A flicker of recognition flashed in her eyes. "Honey," she breathed, her voice barely above a whisper, as if afraid to disturb the darkness. The figure recoiled slightly, as if momentarily shaken by her words. "Mom, it's me. You can fight this. Come back to me." As I spoke, the shadows twisted in agitation, moaning softly, a collective growl that threatened to swallow us whole. Other members of the group began to tremble, their faces paling in the dimness. The atmosphere felt charged, electric. I knew my mother was still in there, buried beneath the weight of the darkness. Around us, I could see the shadows thickening, tightening their grip on the others. Some stumbled back, shaken from their stupor, while others pressed forward, mesmerized and absurdly joyful, as if intoxicated by the fear. "Feel it!" someone cried out, laughing maniacally. "It's beautiful. Unbelievable." It was as if the very terror surrounding us was a drug, and they were all now addicts on the edge of revelation. My heart raced. This was a game. A sick, twisted game. And I was determined not to lose. With fate hanging by a thread, I moved closer to my mother, forcing my body through the oppressive mass of shadows. I could barely see her now, lost in the depths, but I could feel her warmth. "Please remember me." Her eyes dimmed for a moment longer, and suddenly she gasped. "We must go," she murmured, finally breaking the trance. "Yes." My heart surged, hope igniting within me. But as soon as it sparked, the angry whispers roared back to life, the shadows coiling around my legs as if to hold me back. I reached for her, desperate. "Take my hand, Mom." The pale figure snarled, anger coursing through the shadows, shrieking with rage. "You cannot leave." It lunged forward, dark energy sparking from its form, the air seething with malevolence. I felt a surge of cold wash over me, sapping my strength. My mother glanced at me, uncertainty clouding her eyes even as I saw a glimmer of the woman I knew. Something cracked within me, an urge to save her, to fight against the malevolence clawing at my sanity, ignited like wildfire, flooding my veins with sheer defiance. I pulled her toward me, trying to wrench her away from the grasp of the shadows, even as they lashed out, snapping at us like wild beasts. "Don't resist," the voice warned, but I only felt my resolve harden. "I won't let you take her." With an adrenaline-fueled push, I surged forward, yanking my mother back with every ounce of strength I had. The darkness roared and the apparition howled, but I couldn't give in. Would our combined willpower be enough to shatter the grip of this nightmare? As the dark mass writhed and twisted around us, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were on the brink of something terrifying, and I had to know what happened next. The shadows roared with fury, a cacophony of despair and rage. I could feel the cold pressure of the darkness trying to snatch my mother from me, but I refused to yield. Gritting my teeth, I pulled harder, my focus laser-sharp on her face, desperate for any sign of hope. "Mom!" My voice cracked, raw emotion spilling out. "Please just hold on." Time seemed to stretch, each heartbeat echoing in the silence. Around us the crowd swayed, entranced, unaware of the battle unfolding just meters away. I caught glimpses of their faces, half-crazed, eyes wide with delight and terror, as if the shadows promised them something beautiful. What kind of sick pleasure came from watching the horrors unfold? "Join us," someone called, laughter ringing out like shattering glass. "It's magnificent to let go." Their words twisted my stomach. They were lost, caught in the maelstrom of hopelessness. But I wouldn't follow them. Not now. Not when my mother was so close. "Look at me, Mom," I shouted, wrestling against the pulling shadows. "Don't lose yourself again. Fight it." Her eyes flickered again, confusion battling with fear. For a moment it was as if I was looking at a stranger. I felt the moisture of tears welling in my eyes. "Please come back." As if my plea reached her, the shadows hesitated. My mother's mouth opened, a sound escaping a whisper, a breath of longing. "I am trying," but suddenly the figure lunged, its dark energy exploding outward. I braced myself, the wave of cold pushing against me, trying to swallow everything whole. It was a pressure like ice against my skin, pressing down until I thought I might drown in it, but I couldn't let go. Then a sudden warmth surged between us, a thread of connection so strong it felt tangible. My mother's hand slipped from my grasp, but the bond didn't break. It pulled tighter, lacing our hearts together through the shock and darkness. "No!" I yelled, reaching for her in horror. In that instant of connection the shadows recoiled, their forms swirling like a storm retreating. The figure shouted, its voice a thunderous growl shaking the very foundation of the basement. "You think you can defy me?" I felt my mother's will strengthen, and a defiance bloomed in her eyes. "We can fight together," she shouted. Her voice infused with newfound energy sent a shockwave through the shadows, and I seized the moment, lunging forward to grab her hand once more. With a mighty heave, we surged against the dark force. The shadows shrieked as though they were alive, unnaturally thrashing and seething, now desperate to cling on. I held her tightly, our fingers entwined. My heart raced as I realized we were not just fighting our way out. We were reclaiming each other. As we began to pull away, the figure writhed in fury. "You cannot escape. You belong to the dark." "No, we don't," I bellowed back, summoning every ounce of strength from my core. The shadows swirling around us flared again, a cyclone of terror trying to drag us into its depths. But we stood firm like two trees against a gale, intertwined and resolute. The light flickered within my mother's eyes, a spark igniting the darkness that surrounded us. "Push!" I cried, and we both dug our heels into the cold floor, forcing ourselves back toward the dim light at the top of the stairs, and suddenly, everything exploded. A blinding white light enveloped us as the shadows clawed and howled, their grasp finally releasing. I felt a rush of air as we were yanked up, leaving the horrors far below. But just as we reached the threshold, a hand shot out from the shadows, grasping my mother's ankle. "Mom!" I screamed, panic clawing at my throat. Would the darkness claim her again? And as the last remnants of shadows writhed beneath us, I locked eyes with my mother, ready to confront whatever came next, knowing this nightmare was far from over. "Hold on," she shouted, and I prayed that whatever waited for us on the other side wouldn't be too late to save her this time. Light engulfed us, blinding and searing. I was weightless for a heartbeat, suspended between fear and elation. Then, with a jarring crash, we tumbled forward into the dim, dusty basement. The shadows hissed anew, writhing with anger, desperate to reclaim what they had lost. "Mom!" I scrambled to my feet, my heart pounding as I looked for her. The air was thick, heavy with dread. There she was on the ground, a look of shock frozen on her face. My hands trembled as I reached for her, desperate to pull her away from the remnants of darkness still clinging to her. "Are you okay?" I asked, voice tight with worry. "Not yet." She struggled to sit up, the fight visibly sapping her strength. Her eyes flickered, searching mine for reassurance. But I felt it too, that nagging sensation that something was still lurking, ready to pounce. "We have to go," I urged, glancing around the basement, shadows clinging to the corners like broken promises. The only exit was a door partially ajar at the far end, beckoning us with its faint light. "No," she whispered, shaking her head. "We can't just leave it, we need to end this." "And what?" I questioned, my fear overwhelming. "I just want to get out of here." But she didn't answer. Instead, she stood slowly, each motion deliberate, as though she was battling against invisible chains. The shadows seemed to sense her resolve, coiling tighter, angry and insistent. "Mom!" I stepped toward her, panic rising in my chest. "Whatever this is, we don't need to face it. Just move." Her expression shifted. She took a ragged breath, eyes narrowing with a mix of determination and fear. "We need to confront it together. It wants us divided." Suddenly, the door slammed shut with a bone-rattling thud. The sound echoed like a death knell, leaving a chilling silence in its wake. My heart raced, the walls seemed to draw closer, squeezing me as shadows twisted and roared around us, desperate to reclaim their lost prey. "Stay close," my mother yelled, and we moved toward the center of the room, pushing against the surge of darkness. But then I saw it, a shadow detached itself from the mass, stretching and growing, becoming a figure that licked the cold air with hunger. It took on the shape of my mother, no, not her, something malevolent, twisted. "Join us," it crooned, a voice that echoed with the mockery of love. "Let go of your pain," its arms extended, beckoning with an invitation laced in malice. "Mom, don't listen," I shouted, panic exploding in my chest. "That's not you." I can't fight it," she gasped, the shadows reaching for her again, pulling, dragging at her essence. I felt the intensity of her struggle, the bonds of despair tightening around her soul. Resolute, I lunged for her, grabbing her wrist just as the dark figure let out a shriek that fractured the air. "Stop!" I screamed, my mouth dry with terror. "You are so much more than this darkness." "Ash," she cried out, her voice trembling. "You have to trust me." I cut her off, pulling against the pull of panic. I could feel our connection, the warmth of her spirit fighting back, mixing with my own resolve. And just like that, clarity washed over me. I had something they didn't. We're family. They don't understand love. The figure wailed, its form convulsing as we pressed forward, hand in trembling hand. I narrowed my focus, closing my eyes for the briefest moment to picture our shared memories, the laughter, warmth, love. Suddenly, a blinding light erupted from us, a force so strong it sent shockwaves through the basement. The shadows shrieked, their power winking out, scattering against the walls. But in the chaos, I felt a sudden tug on my heart, a chilling realization. "Where's Dad?" I gasped, horror dawning upon me. "What?" My mother's eyes widened. The shadows recoiled, forming a vortex spiraling downward. And beneath that swirling storm, a familiar whisper called out from the depths. "Help me, could it be?" Before I could respond, a deafening crash echoed, snapping the air, and as I turned, the door imploded, revealing a new horror. A figure stepped through the threshold, silhouetted against the perpetual night beyond. No, my breath caught in my throat. What awaited us in the shadows heightened the dread in my heart. Would we find answers or uncover more horrors lurking in the dark? The figure took a step forward, and even in the dimness, I recognized the familiar outline. My heart stuttered, was this my father? But something felt off, a chill that smeared the warm memories I clung to. "Ash, help me," his voice lingered like an echo, but it was hollow. I felt the hairs on my arms stand at attention. Dad! I cried out, fighting the instinct to retreat. The shadows flared around him, twisting the hope in my chest into something dark and foreboding. What happened to you? He staggered toward us, a ghastly mimicry of his usual self, so cold. His hands reached out, palms upturned, trembling. They won't let me go. No. Stay back. My mother's voice cut through the haze. She moved in front of me, protective yet trembling. The shadows flared again, feeding off our fear, writhing violently like a pack of wild animals. Mom, he needs our help. I argued, my voice breaking. But deep down, I felt that knot of uncertainty twist tighter. Something was wrong. The way the features of my father flickered between familiarity and monstrous shape raised the alarm within me. Ash, listen. It's not your father, she gasped, her tone a mix of terror and determination. It's a trick. In that moment, the swirling shadows intensified, enveloping my father's figure like mist. The face morphed and changed, revealing sharp teeth and sunken eyes. Join me in the darkness, my love, it hissed, its voice slithering through the air. No. I screamed, my legs shaking. That is not him. With every ounce of resolve, I stepped forward, pulling my mother along with me. You're stronger than this, I shouted, hoping my words could reach the heart of the shadows. The air thickened as the creature lunged for us, spiraling through the darkness. They'll consume your light. You'll never escape. It howled, vibrant with malice. Remember our love, I shouted, clutching my mother's hand tighter. We're a team. Remember Dad's stories? Those moments crystallized in my mind like brilliant shards of glass, hikes in the woods, late-night talks under the stars. Suddenly, a crack of light danced through the air as if the memories summoned their own power. The shadow creature halted, a horrific scream erupting from its depths. No! Your light! I felt warmth flooding in, the chamber brightening within. It was undeniable. Our love was a shield, radiant and indomitable, banishing the encroaching darkness. But then from that glimmering expanse voices welled up, rising like a tide. Help me, a chorus of whispers reached out, swirling in the brightening room. Each voice was familiar, trapped within the shadows, begging for release. Dad? I whispered, my heart hammering again. Is that you? The creature seethed, pulling back as if burned. You shouldn't have come. Don't listen. My mother shouted, her spirit igniting with renewed vigor. Fight back, Ash. We can't allow it to draw us in. She squeezed my hand tighter, and an understanding ignited between us. I raised my voice, pouring every ounce of love, memory, and strength into those words. You can't have us. We choose light. We choose love. Just as the glow engulfed us, the shadows lunged again, desperate and furious. Their grip tightened, filling the space with an eerie howl. But the radiant warmth pushed at them, warping their form, reducing darkness to whispers that faded away. The edges crackled as the creature twisted, letting out one last torturous wail before the brightness consumed it. A flash of blinding white filled the room, and I shielded my eyes when the light faded. I blinked. We were back in the basement, the suffocating gloom lifting as if a heavy veil had been torn away. But then a movement caught my eye. In the corner of the room a shadow shifted. The faint outline of a door appeared completely new, as if it had just formed. What did we do? I whispered, dread unfurling inside me. What if it leads to him? My mother whispered back, her voice a mix of hope and fear. We exchanged a glance, willingness battled apprehension. Do we dare? I whispered, feeling the walls pulse with anticipation. And with that, we stepped toward the mysterious door, the air thick with tension and uncertainty. What lay beyond could either be salvation or something worse. What awaited us could change everything again. Would we find the answers we sought? Or would we descend into deeper darkness? As we approached the door, the air crackled with energy, and a strange stillness enveloped the room. Shadows danced at the edges, teasing the corners of my vision, but I focused on the door. It stood there, old and heavy-looking, with intricate carvings swirling across the wood like vines strangling a tree. My heart hammered. Ready? I turned to my mother, searching for reassurance, yet her eyes widened with a mix of fear and curiosity. We have to see, she whispered, determination creeping into her voice. I reached for the doorknob, its cold metal biting against my palm. Each breath felt drawn out like time paused just for us. Turning it felt like unraveling a secret that maybe we shouldn't know. With a soft creak, the door swung open, revealing a dimly lit hallway. The scent of damp earth and musty air met us like an unwelcome friend. I hesitated at the threshold, but my mother slipped ahead, encouraging me with a nod. The passage stretched on, dark and uninviting, but a flickering bulb hung above, casting eerie shadows that twitched just out of reach. Something urged me forward, a pull that felt like a magnetic force. I followed, my feet heavy yet unwilling to let fear hold me back. As we stepped into the hallway, whispers began to swirl around us, slicing through the silence. "Help save us," they pleaded, voices echoing like a haunting lullaby. The temperature dropped, causing my breath to plume in the barely there light. "Do you hear that?" I murmured, disbelief tangled with panic squeezing my chest. "Yes." My mother's voice was firm but trembled just the same. "But don't let it pull you in. Remember what we did before." Pushing forward, we pressed deeper into the corridor, each step weighed down by the darkness that seemed to creep from the walls. The whispers grew louder, forming a cacophony, a symphony of sorrow that threatened to drown out our resolve. Suddenly the floor creaked and I froze. A shadow slipped past the beam of light, a fleeting movement at the edge of my vision. "What was that?" I whispered, adrenaline pumping through my veins. My mother grasped my arm, her breath hitching as she squinted into the darkness. "Something's here." The hallway widened, opening up into a room that felt alive with malevolent energy. The walls were lined with portraits, faces grim and watchful. Their eyes seemed to bore into us, judging our very existence. A chill swept through the room, brushing against my skin like icy fingers. I shivered, but the sensation sent an electric thrill of fear racing through me. "This is wrong. We shouldn't be here," I said, adrenaline coursing, the urge to flee battling against my gut instinct that maybe we were meant to find this place. "Look." My mother pointed toward the far wall where a faint glow pulsed, an eerie light that flickered like a dying flame. As we inched closer, the glow revealed a strange sigil etched into the stone. It pulsed in time with the echoes of whispers, a rhythm that was almost alive. "Do you think it's a portal?" I speculated, my curiosity reigniting. "Maybe it's a way to the trapped souls." "We have to figure this out," she replied, her voice steadier as hope seeped in with every breath. But in my core doubt brewed. Was this truly a way to save them, or merely a path to our own doom? Ahead, the sigil flickered more intensely, and with a sudden whoosh, the whispers crescendoed into a spine-chilling wail. The walls trembled, sending dust cascading from above. My heart raced as the ground beneath us quaked. "It's reacting. Back. We need to go," I urged, pulling my mother with me. Panic surged, echoing against the walls. As we turned to flee, spectral figures emerged from the shadows, faces contorted in sorrow, stretching toward us with ghostly hands. "Help us please," they wailed, and I felt their despair claw at my heart. Die in an instant. The warmth of our previous victory felt frail against the overwhelming surge of fear closing in. The ethereal figures loomed closer, their intent unclear but palpably desperate. "Run!" my mother shouted, and we dashed back down the corridor, the air thick with dread. Each heartbeat sounded like a war drum, echoing the urgency of our escape. What lay behind us remained shrouded in mystery, but the pull of the unknown clawed at my mind. A question spun in my head. What if this was just the beginning? What if we were only scratching the surface of the horrors buried in this house? With each step, the portal flickered in the distance, promising answers and possibly a reckoning we weren't prepared for. Who knew what waited on the other side? Something to make it all make sense, or something darker than we could ever imagine. The weight of imminent discovery hung heavy in the air as we plunged deeper into the unknown. What would we face if we dared to look back? We barreled down the dark corridor, hearts racing, our breaths coming in quick, ragged bursts. The spectral figures hovered behind us, shadows stretching and clawing at the air as they desperately reached out, their hollow eyes filled with an unwavering sorrow. I could feel their anguish tingling against my skin, like icy needles whispering promises of truth and torment. "Keep moving," my mother urged, her grip tightening around my wrist. She darted ahead, the flickering light casting eerie shapes that leaped and twisted around us. Blind panic clouded my thoughts, but one nagging question wormed its way through. Where would we even go? The oppressive darkness seemed to stretch on, wrapping around us like a suffocating shroud. We rounded a corner, and I stumbled, momentarily losing my footing on the crumbling floor. My mother shot back to grab me, eyes filled with determination, yet I could see the tremor in her hands. "We have to find a way out." But when I looked back, the spectral figures had vanished, as if swallowed by the void. Silence settled, but it felt far from safe. Instead, it buzzed with something ominous, a stillness that screamed of danger. "What just happened?" I gasped, forcing myself to calm, scanning the shadowy hallway. They were right behind us. "I don't know," she whispered, her voice trembling. "But we can't stay here." We trudged forward slowly, the glow of the sigil still flickering in our minds, drawing us back even though our instincts screamed to escape. As we maneuvered deeper into the hall, that cold heaviness returned. Something wasn't right. Suddenly, the floor beneath us plunged, our feet slid forward as the ground shuddered violently. I grabbed the wall, nails digging into the damp, crumbling stone. "Mom! What is happening?" A distant sound echoed, a low, throaty growl that vibrated through the air like a terrible warning. The world momentarily froze. I could feel something shifting around us beneath the surface, as if the very foundation of the house was awakening. "Run!" My mother shouted, and we bolted again, vulnerability gnawing at my gut. We stumbled through doorways now, each room more chaotic than the last. Dust swirled in the air, electric with energy. Cracked mirrors hung where walls should be, shards reflecting our frightened faces back at us in kaleidoscopic horror. Then we found a door, one that swung ajar, beckoning but almost mocking in its invitation. A flicker of light spilled out, coaxing us into the unknown. "Is this another way out?" I asked, dread pooling deep inside. My mother hesitated, her intuition wrestling with the shimmering light. "We don't know what's on the other side. Could be worse." The growl rumbled again, louder this time, shaking us to the core. I felt myself being pulled towards the light against my will. "We don't have a choice." With a nod, we crossed the threshold, stepping into a room that pulsed with that haunting glow from before. The sigil glimmered more brightly here, vibrant and alive as it seemed to beckon us closer. But something felt wrong. "I can't shake the urge to touch it," I said, my voice barely audible over the din of uncertainty in my chest. "No, we have to think this through." "You remember," her voice trailed off, lost in thought, but I didn't need her to finish. I knew what she meant. Touching the sigil had consequences last time. As if sensing our hesitation, the floor shook violently again, making the walls tremble. A piece of the ceiling crumbled, and dust fell as I instinctively stepped closer to my mother. "Look," I exclaimed, pointing at the sigil where shadows started to writhe, coiling and twisting like live creatures. "It's moving." The whispers returned, crashing into us with renewed fervor, crashing against our senses. Unravel the truth, break free. Panic gripped my chest as the shadows grew, swirling around us, combining into one colossal, shadowy figure, an ominous presence that felt all too familiar. "What do we do?" I stammered, dread curling at the back of my mind. But before my mother could respond, the figure lunged. A breathless scream escaped me as dark energy intertwined with the air, wrapping around us like a vice. Then the sigil flared, and for an instant, everything went white. When I opened my eyes again, the room had transformed. No longer was it a simple passageway, it felt expansive, ominous, like the inside of a living creature. The sigil pulsed with a newfound intensity, and I heard a voice, deep and resonant, echoing through the space. "You have entered a realm of shadows and secrets. Are you prepared to face the truth?" The weight of the question echoed in the air, oppressive and thick, as I looked at my mother, searching for clarity in a moment of madness. Could we truly confront what lay hidden in the dark? As shadows converged, closing in around us, my heart raced. Just how far down this rabbit hole were we willing to go? The darkness twisted and writhed around us, but we stood firm, courage kindling in our hearts. "We're ready," I replied, voice trembling yet resolute. Somehow we had faced unimaginable horrors, and no matter what awaited us now, we wouldn't surrender. The specters would not claim us or the love that had stitched us together. The room pulsed with energy, shadows swirling like a storm. My mother's hand gripped mine tightly, her gaze fixed on the sigil. "Remember, Ash. Strength is in unity." "Together," I echoed, feeling our connection zinging with renewed purpose like electricity coursing through our veins. The haunting voice reverberated again, taunting us, yet something in it felt simultaneously inviting. then step forward. The truth awaits. Summoning what little hope I had left, I took a step toward the sigil, dragging my mother along. Each inch felt like a battle, the darkness pushing back against our determination. But we fought through, fueled by a shared love that transcended fear. The swirling shadows seemed to respond, twisting wildly in agitation as we ventured closer. Unravel the secrets of your past, the voice continued, playful, yet powerful, vibrating through us as if testing our resolve. Only then may you relinquish the curse that binds. What curse? I shouted into the void, urgency lacing my words that a thin giggle echoed, chilling the air. The one you carry within. Every heartache, every joy, will reveal which path you choose. Mom, I whispered, catching her eye. It's about Dad, about us. The memories flooded my mind, laughter echoing through family dinners, whispered secrets under soft moonlight. Those precious moments wrapped around me, reminding me that our love had always been stronger than the shadows lurking in our lives. Just as realization began to crystallize in my mind, the shadows reared back, lifting momentarily, revealing a fracture in the dark facade. The sigil pulsed brightly, blinding us momentarily. Then came the visions. Snippets of memories, my father's smile, his warmth, his laughter. It flickered like candlelight, cutting through the murky veil that clouded our past. But there was also pain, his absence, the arguments that followed, the sorrow that wedged itself between us after. Embrace it, the voice commanded. Your truth will set you aflame or drown you in darkness. A deep breath filled my lungs, and I stepped closer to the sigil, my mother beside me, shadows clawing at our ankles. Dad, we love you. We need you. In response, shadows constricted and pooled around us, leaping towards the sigil, ignited by our combined desperation and love. The energy surged, filling the room with raw emotion. Together, my mother breathed, her voice even stronger now. Together. Light exploded from the sigil in a radiant flash, throwing us back as the shadows shrieked, twisting and reeling from the blazing truth, colliding with the darkness that had held them captive. We will break this curse, I yelled, feeling the surge of power coursing through me. Brightness engulfed us, pushing forward, filling what once was darkness with memory and love. Your choice lies beyond, the voice echoed faintly, now indistinct, as we hurtled toward the light with one last effort. We sprang together, hands clasped, leaping into the brilliance that seemed to swell and envelop us. Moments stretched, time collapsing on itself, until finally the blinding light dimmed. We landed on solid ground, the world rippling around us. We were free. Blinking, I looked around. We stood in the living room of our home. Safe and familiar, sunlight streaming through windows, illuminating the cherished space we shared. And there in a corner was Dad, alive and whole. Dad! I shouted, racing toward him as he turned, bewilderment flooding his face. You're here. Tears streamed down my cheeks as I flung my arms around him, holding onto the warmth that had felt lost for so long. He enveloped me in his embrace, a sigh of relief escaping his lips. My mother joined, hugging us tightly, the three of us encapsulated in a bubble of love, the shadows fading with each heartbeat. It's over, she whispered, her voice trembling through the air. We're together again at last. What happened? Dad asked, bewildered. We faced the darkness, I replied, pulling back to meet his gaze. And we chose love. We remembered who we are together. Understanding glimmered in his eyes. Together. Always. In the echoing silence of that moment, a gentle breeze swept through the room, a feather-light caress, like the cool kiss of freedom. The darkness no longer held sway over our family, and that day we rebuilt not just a house, but our lives, infused with resilience and light. The shadows lay far behind us as we ventured into the warmth of a future filled with love, laughter, and healing. We had faced the darkness and emerged into the light, and our bond had never felt stronger. With hearts intertwined, we took our first step forward into a brighter tomorrow, leaving the past behind as we embraced what lay ahead. You need to subscribe now. You don't want to miss the next wild story we're telling. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support makes all the difference.